Well, when you mention truck racing, you've got to find the safest place to stand, and I'm in the safest place here on the third floor. The marshals are tucked away safely. The lights are ready to take over control. Now get ready for New Zealand V8 racer Kane Scott and John Hepburn to take on truck hotshot Malcolm Little. Stand clear for some thundering action.
Thanks very much, Roger, and it's thundering action that we've got as we take in highlights from race number 1. Have a look at the little Bedford there. That's John Hepburn. He was the champion 2 seasons ago. And as Roger mentioned, we've got V8 touring car driver, B&T V8 driver, Kane Scott. You're on board here with Troy Wheeler. Remember, these trucks are governed to 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometres an hour. There is Kane Scott in the McGinty's Kenworth. Oh, there's some problems here. Looks like a turbo problem for John Hepburn. Well, he qualified quite well, and this is going to hurt his championship campaign. On board here with Ken Rowe in the Kenworth. This is the Porter's truck. There it is. And there is John Hepburn. It looks like the turbo's gone. Back on racetrack, that's Kane Scott getting the heat put on him from Troy Wheeler. On board here with Wheeler, it's the McGinty's Kenworth. You've seen Calvin Bonney run that truck. Now it is the turn of Kane Scott, and Wheeler's just got the wood on him as they work down into the turn 1 here at Manfield. Wheeler caught on the outside of the racetrack, so Kane Scott using all his racing ability. Meantime, at the front of the field, it is Malcolm Little that draws first blood in the Super Truck Championships here at Manfield. Kane Scott will cross the line in second place, and in third it will be Troy Wheeler. So Malcolm Little, so many years the bridesmaid. Is it going to be this year for him to be the bride? He wins it from Scott, Wheeler, Rowe and Thompson. Race number 2 now, and this is Darren Thompson from Wellington in the Western Star leading them round. And look at the gaggle of trucks in behind him. And the good news is that John Hepburn's back. They've worked long and hard on the little Bedford, the little truck that could. That's the truck he won the 2007 championship with. Well, they're back. They've replaced the turbo. As you're back on board here with Troy Wheeler is Terry McGee from Wellington, and there's John Hepburn in the background. And well, there goes the windscreen on Hepburn's Bedford. The windscreen just collapsed in on the driver, I would think. So drama here for John Hepburn. Well, he had enough drama in race number 1 with the engine. Now he's got to contend with the windscreen as well. All tight racing for the minors, and you see Hepburn in the back of the bunch there, and the windscreen collapsed down into the cab. Meantime, at the front, Kane Scott has got to the lead in the McGinty's Kenworth. And that means Thompson goes back into second place, or maybe third, as you're on board here with Troy Wheeler. And you'll see as you, especially from the onboard shots, there's not too many flag marshals in attendance. They're told to get right back from the truck. There's very heavy restrictions for press and television cameras because of the imminent danger when these things go wild and get a bit loose. Wheeler on Thompson. This is the battle for second and third at the moment. Out in the front it is Kane Scott, 5-time New Zealand Trans Am champion, past truck racing standout, and of course B&T V8 driver, New Zealand touring car champion, Kane Scott out on the front. There he is, and what a lap he's got. Lap 3 of 6, so we're at half distance. And look at the crowd we've got here at Manfield. They love the super trucks. There's no doubt about that. Wheeler through in second place. Hepburn looking for racing room round the outside and just about cuts the water off Darren Thompson to move through into third. Thompson goes back into fourth. This time there's a little bit of trouble there for Malcolm Little just in the back of the shot. Remember, he won race 1 last lap now, and Kane Scott got this on a string. But this is the battle for the minors. And Hepburn, well, he wants to get his championship back on track. The little Bedford. The 6B92 KM Bedford of John Hepburn is going to finish third as Kane Scott comes across the line and wins race number 2. So he gets maximum points in race 2. Troy Wheeler will come across the line in second in the Scania. Then it's the Bedford of Hepburn, and then it's Malcolm Little in the Freightliner. And that's the way the judges saw it as well. So Kane Scott gets a win in race 2 of the New Zealand Super Truck Championships. John Hepburn is third.
John, looks like you finished third, but a lot of drama in the truck, a few cuts here.
Yeah, the windscreen exploded on lap 1. I was heading up the back straight right in behind Troy, and I don't know whether anything went through it or it just caved in, and of course all the glass comes straight inside the cab, and yeah, it cut me a little bit, made it a little bit hard for the rest of the race, and going down the straight with my hand up like this to protect my eyes. So yeah, we'll go and get them washed out in a minute and be good.
Kane back in the winner's circle, but not this time in an NZ V8, it's in the big truck.
Yeah, they're quite a bit different, I've got to say, too. We sort of really struggled for a bit of speed this weekend, so when the light went green, I knew I had to get on with it because the boys behind had got a bit of pace.
Well, Kane Scott's going to have to get on with it here as well because he'll start on grid position number 5. Behind him, it'll be Troy Wheeler. And look at that, 2 seconds later, they're getting Malcolm Little away. John Hepburn, well, he's going to give the field 10 seconds, so they've penalised Hep. Pace truck comes off as we get set to go with race number 3 of the Super Trucks. This is round 1 of their championship. They'll go to the South Island. In fact, Manfield is the only North Island track that they race at because of safety considerations. So it'll be Darren Thompson leading into Toyota, and right in behind him, well, beside him at the moment, it will be Terry McGee in the Mac. Now the fast boys get away. There is Ken Rowe in the Porter Spears Kenworth, and down the inside, well, should I say the outside, heading into 1, goes Kane Scott. I talked to Kelvin Bonney about the braking performance of these trucks a couple of seasons ago, and he said compared to what he when he raced his Super Sedan, his Monaro, he said the braking points are exactly the same as the cars to the trucks. He said just the speed is different. Problems here for Ken Rowe from Hamilton in the Porter Spears Kenworth, just disappearing out the back of the field. Plenty of diesel smoke from Malcolm Little, so he's hard on the throttle as we go back on board here with Troy Wheeler in the Troy Wheeler Contracting Scania. Just up ahead of him, it's the McGinty's Kenworth. That is Kane Scott. Malcolm Little is in there as well. And John Hepburn just waiting to tag onto that bunch. Little goes in front of Wheeler as they work their way into Higgins. Now, the braking capacity of these trucks is pretty amazing. They run water-cooled brakes, and you'll see the steam clouds when they really get on that middle pedal. Plenty of horsepower on board, plenty of smoke, plenty of excitement. That's what the big crowds love as we're back on board here with Ken Rowe. So maybe he just missed a gear because he's back to full speed now. And remember, that full speed is 100 miles an hour. 160 kilometres an hour these trucks are governed to. So there is Terry McGee. Right in behind him it is Darren Thompson. Thompson's got a problem. I think he's headed for the pits. So McGee's going to stay in the front for the moment. Oh, well, Thomason out. That promotes Kane Scott into second place now. Back on board here with Troy Wheeler. And up ahead of him, it's Malcolm Little, Kane Scott, and, of course, Terry McGee. So he's got a bit of work to do as they work their way into turn 1 here at Manfield. Just up ahead of him, it's Little and Scott. There is John Hepburn glued to the back of Troy Wheeler. Out of 1 they come now and into the infield S's. You're back on board here with Ken Rowe. And the Kenworth, well, whatever was ailing him seems to have been fixed because it's back to full speed. And he's trying to chase down John Hepburn as well. So Hepburn is the meat and the sandwich, the smallest truck out there, the little Bedford, working their way through the infield S's now, being pursued by trucks that are much, much bigger. This is what's happening in second and third. It's the McGinty's Kenworth with Kane Scott at the wheel, and right in behind him it's Malcolm Little. We go back on board, although the visibility's a bit tough, isn't it, with Troy Wheeler down the Denny Holm straight, and he's getting a little bit closer to these two, and Malcolm Little's pulled out of the draft, and he's going to take the front, is he? Is he going to go around the long way through Higgins? I don't think he's going to do it. Kane Scott's got years and years of experience and lots of racecraft under the helmet, and he'll hold out Little. Or Willie. Little gets a great drive coming out of Higgins, and he gets the nose in front. Now, who's going to get to 100 miles an hour first? 160 kilometres. These things stop like they hit a wall. And it is Malcolm Little that has pulled over into the front of this little battle. Remember, it is McGee out in the front. He started first. This is a handicap race. They're going to chase him down if they want the gold medal. I think they can do it. They're carrying a little bit extra pace than McGee at the moment. McGee lapping in the 131. Malcolm Little already down into the 130s, 129. There is McGee, there is Little, and there is Kane Scott. Laps winding down here at Manfield. McGee goes a little bit wide, probably to miss the wayward cone in the middle of the track. Kane Scott says, don't worry about that, I'll go right over it. Back on board here with Troy Wheeler. He's watching all this unfold, but he's just not quite close enough to be a part of it. And listen to the tyres protesting as they really work these trucks through the infield S's at Manfield. And look at the rubber and the diesel and the oil on the road. And this is always a concern for the other classes racing the same days as the super trucks. Infield hairpin onto the Denny Holm straight. You're riding with Troy Wheeler. There he is. And glued to his back bumper, as he has been for the last 2 laps, is John Hepburn in the little repowered Bedford. Is Wheeler getting closer to Kane Scott? And it looks like Malcolm Little's got a little bit of distance between himself and Scott now. Well, Hepburn couldn't be any closer if he was in the dicky seat behind him, and now he's decided to make the pass. And you're right on board with the best seat in the house as John Hepburn, ex-New Zealand motorcycling champion, ex-truck racing champion, goes into the front in front of Wheeler. Wheeler's going to argue about it, though, as they come into the big sweeper at the top end here at Manfield. McGee's been caught, so that means Malcolm Little now is in the front. Great to see that Darren Thompson has joined the fray again. That's him sitting in third. He'll be over a lap down now, so this man is the race leader. This is Malcolm Little in the Freightliner. Right in behind him, it is Terry McGee in the Wellington-owned Mack. Then it is Kane Scott. And the next one we would look for would be John Hepburn in the Little Bedford, because he would have moved in front of Troy Wheeler now and be up into 4th place. Oh, McGee, the pressure just starting to tell a little bit. He heads to the grass, and that's the incentive that Kane Scott was looking for. And look at the closing speed of Scott. McGee does this well. Not so much the sensible thing. I think he was a little bit out of control coming through the infield here, and he dives to the outside of the racetrack, gets it on the grass. These things have got all the horsepower in the world and are fairly light in the rear end. That's why the back end stepped out so easily for Terry McGee. It's cost him big time. Hepburn's gone past him. A Wheeler is about to. There is John Hepburn, Timaru's favourite son, driving without a windscreen in the Little Bedford. This is the truck he won the championship in 2 years ago. Wants to do it again this season. Troy Wheeler threading the needle between Thompson and McGee. But he now back in 4th place. And you can see there's still problems out there for Darren Thompson in the Western Star. Ticket flag comes out and Malcolm Little gets the win. The man from Upper Hutt wins race number 3 of the Super Trucks here at Manfield. 2nd place will be Kane Scott from a fast-closing John Hepburn. So watch for Hepburn in the Flying Farewell. Official confirmations now for you. Malcolm Little gets the win in the Freightliner. Then it's Kane Scott in the Kenworth, Hepburn in the Bedford, Wheeler in the Scania, and McGee the next one through.
Kane 2nd place, but I've got to say that truck of Malcolm Little's pretty quick, isn't it?
It's too fast for me. I knew it was only a matter of time, you know, but I tried to hold him up, and yeah, unfortunately, after I'd sort of blocked him for a couple of laps, he knew what I was up to.
Malcolm, well done. Came from the back through to a race win.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since we've been up the front. We've had a couple of years of some really bad engine luck, and now we've put the C12 Caterpillar in the truck, and it's running pretty well. We're pretty happy with that.
And you notice a couple of changes there. Peter Tongi now in the 85, so he's taken over from Terry McGee, and also Craig Rowe in for Ken Rowe. Once again, it's a handicap situation. Can Malcolm Little, the fastest qualifier, come from the back to the front? We'll find out very shortly as they get set to turn him loose here at Mighty Manfield. It's the Super Trucks and it's the Flying Farewell. Handicap start, so there's a long wait for Craig Rowe here in the Eagle Spears Porter High Kenworth. Away he goes. Just up in front of him it is Peter Tongi. So a couple of driver changes to look out for. Peter Tongi in for Terry McGee. Kane Scott though inside the number 1, and that is the McGinty's Kenworth. You're on board here with Troy Wheeler. He's still in his Troy Wheeler contract with Scania, so no problems there. Up ahead of him it is Kane Scott. So this is where the fireworks I'm sure will come from. Meantime, out in the front it is still the 666 of Darren Thompson. The lad from Wellington in the Western Star. Immaculate truck preparation, as is all of them. They really are masterpieces of engineering, but fast as well. Lapping Manfield in around about the 126, 127 mark for the very fastest. Well, it looks like Darren Thompson's fixed whatever was ailing that truck in race number 3 as we go back on board here with Craig Rowe. And the Eagle Spears Porter High Kenworth. Now this isn't the truck that Andrew Porter drove in the last truck racing series. Of course, Andrew Porter, another one that's made the move to the B&T V8 and made a very successful move this season, doing very well. We're back on board here with Troy Wheeler from Auckland. Remember, to win the Flying Farewell, they've got to chase down the trucks in front of them because it's a handicap situation. You saw the split grid start, and some of them have got a huge advantage. Darren Thompson giving these guys a big head start here at Manfield. So there is Rowe, then it is Kane Scott, then it is Wheeler, then it is Hepburn right in behind him. And the scratch marker, if you like, that is Malcolm Little. He was the fastest qualifier. He won race number 3. Can he get through and win the flying farewell? To do that, he's got to pass these guys. Wheeler in the Scania. The windscreen-less Bedford of John Hepburn. He made a few changes to that track since he won the Super Truck Championships in 2007. He also won the B Championship, if you like, in the same truck a couple of years previous. So he is a bit of an experienced hand at track racing, as is Troy Wheeler, who we ride with here, heading down the Denny Holm Straight. Fitted twin turbos to John Hepburn's Bedford this season to try and make up for the power difference. And we talk about power, we talk about Craig Rowe and also Kane Scott. Kane Scott round the outside out of Higgins and down the back straight here at Manfield. So he's picked up one spot already. Well, how many times have we seen these two guys battling in the Super Truck Championships here at Manfield? Troy Wheeler in the 111, John Hepburn 52 in the little Bedford that could. In fact, his number 10, his racing number is 52. He's carried that through to the B&T V8s and also in his days on 2 wheels when he was the New Zealand road racing champion, his John Hepburn. Kane Scott, well, he's running the number 1. That's a truck you've seen Kelvin Bonney drive for many, many seasons. Quite a few of guest drivers have sat behind the steering wheel of the McGinty's Kenworth. Kane Scott doing the job at the moment. And trying to do the job on Troy Wheeler is John Hepburn. This is down the Denny Holm Straight. And Malcolm Little right there as well. Now, you often see that in motor racing, don't you? While the two ahead are dicing, Little's going to come out and play, and that's exactly what they do. Through the infield they come. Troy Wheeler just up ahead of him. It is Craig Rowe. But he's got to keep all his concentration on his driving because John Hepburn is knocking on the door and Malcolm Little is right there as well in a freight train. And there it is from the outside shot, and here comes the move from Hepburn. Well, he's a racer's racer. He started off in motocross many, many moons ago now, probably in the late 70s, early 80s. Then he transferred to road racing. As I said, he's running the Fumo Tyres Saloon Series down in the South Island. He's run in the B&T V8s. He's a past champion in the Super Trucks in this very truck, and he's looking to do that again here as he gets his campaign kicked off. Next round of the Super Trucks will be in Timaru, and that's home ground for John Hepburn. And while we're talking about Hepburn, he makes a mistake, and Malcolm Little dives down the inside and works his way up another spot. Wheeler trying to round up Craig Rowe. In fact, takes evasive action as they come down onto the front straight. Rowe's day's done. You get the feeling that this man's day in the sun might be done too soon too, because he is our race leader. Then it is Peter Tongi. We're on board here as Craig Rowe heads to the pits. But this is where all the racing is at the moment, and at the moment this is a battle for the minors, folks. This is the flying farewell. No championship points on this, but it's all about pride. And look at this, Little dives down the inside as they work their way through the infield S's here at Manfield. So Malcolm Little has got the Freightliner up in front of Troy Wheeler now. And Wheeler can't make a mistake because Hepburn is poised to pounce. You're back on board with Troy Wheeler. That is the back of the Freightliner of Malcolm Little. Ahead of them, it's Kane Scott. Further up the road, it's still 666, and that's Darren Thompson. Well, maybe I spoke too soon because here is the move with Scott and Thompson. Scott on the outside. Don't think he's going to do it this time, is he? No, as they work their way into the Dunlop sweeper, it looks like Thompson will hold on to the front running. There's the steam I mentioned before coming off the brakes. Now the attack comes from Kane Scott. And Tongi is right there as well, and so too now is Malcolm Little. So this is going to be exciting. They're fanned out across the racetrack here at Manfield. And who's going to lead it going into Toyota? Kane Scott's got the bumper in front, but track position's going to go to Thompson. He's going a whole lot slower than Scott and Little, but he's going to hold on to the spot, and he's got track position for the next corner as well, or has he? No, Kane Scott says, I'm taking the infield S's, and he does so. Thompson's got to shut the door and stop Malcolm Little. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there, and that's allowed Tongi to get up in the mix as well, and Hepburn struggling to get around him as they head to the infield hairpin at mighty Manfield. So it has come down to the last lap, and this is the battle for the front. Kane Scott, multi-champion of New Zealand in, well, whatever class you can think of, really. Doing it now in the Super Trucks and the McGinty's Kenworth. Malcolm Little has asserted his dominance. He's won race number 3. He'd love to win the Flying Farewell as well. You heard him say they've had major engine problems over the last couple of seasons. They're on top of them now. Or Darren Thompson's not on top of the Western Star, gets it very, very sideways. That opens the door for Hepburn, and down the straight for the last time. You're back on board here with Troy Wheeler. He's rounded up Peter Tongi, so he moves up a spot as well, but he hasn't quite got the pace of the trucks in front of him. Wheeler coming back for some pretty heavy-duty health problems earlier last year. Meantime, this man coming back to take the win. Kane Scott gets it from Malcolm Little, but it was oh so close. Hepburn goes across the line in 3rd place, so he makes the move on Thompson in the last lap as well. So Kane Scott has the last laugh here at the Super Truck Championships at Manfield.
Kane, well done. You left the best for last. You came through with a win.
Yeah, it's always a battle around here. You know, as I said, we struggled all weekend with brakes and that, but those guys gave us a real run for our money. You know, awesome job by Darren and that little 666. Man, he throws that thing around.